we haven't heard is the possibility of scaling up on implementation of an integrated system of fares on federal roads. What structure will it have? How much will you have to pay? There are no answers to these questions, but maybe we will listen to the vision concerning this topic. The first discussions were carried out in 2015, just 10 years passed, and we again gathered in this room and continue the discussion. And in conclusion of my introductory speech, I will say, if you want to be rich, Xi Jinping says, build the roads, and I would add, build intellectual roads. That's why I wish all municipalities, all regions to be rich with intellectual roads. Then the floor is to all other speakers. You can remove my presentation. And I would like to express my gratitude to the organizers. One of the organizers is the Ministry of Transport and Road Economy of Tatarstan, which is an active position in all intellectual transport systems. And we are very gratifying to them, and that Hani Fundarislich found some time to come here and to join us. He's the Minister of Transport and Road Economy of Tatarstan. The topic is toll exit roads. Good afternoon. I am very pleased to see you all here. Thank you very much for finding the time and coming here. As I was given the floor, I would like to give comments to the situation in the Republic. Dear colleagues, the issue of agglomerational development is under strict control, maybe as with all the regions. Republic of Tatarstan is three main agglomerations: Kazan, Kama, Nabережные Челны, Nizhny and Almaty agglomeration. Of course, the most difficult one is Kazan agglomeration. And we think this is the difficulty number one. In 20 years, the big Kazan will have 2 million people of population. That's why we analyzed, 4 years ago, we analyzed and understood that there is a part of exits and entrances to the city from adjacent regions, and 5 of them needed doubling. We calculated how many kilometers it would be, and you can see that Voznesensk tract today has been solved, and now we have come up to the close doubling of the Orenburg tract, and here is a large initiative after commissioning of the speed highway M12. And now our calculated traffic and capacity increased several times. And that's why the second stage is, of course, the doubling of the Orenburg tract. And then Derbishki, of Gorky Highway, and so on. And there is a thing that the density of the city road network in Kazan, less than 2% of the correlation of the area of the roads to the area of the city. Just look at Moscow, 5.5, St. Petersburg, 4.5. I'm not speaking about New York, which was built hundreds of years ago. When we were choosing the way to choose it, to take the toll with barriers or non-barriers, of course, we took the free flow mode. We have done this, we have implemented, and we were not mistaken. Thank you very much for your support. The option of financial model. For example, 1/3 from every part, from federal budget, republic, and the private investor. We are trying to keep to this. money or financing from Tatarstan we plan to allocate to the land plots, and moving the infrastructure, engineering infrastructure, the design expertise. It is huge expenses. And here we have the Voznesensky Tract. It was planned to be like this, and now it is implemented. It is working today. Thank you very much, all colleagues who took part and today are working on maintenance of this road. This is the Laisheva node, which the company of which we are now carrying out in Avtodor and the Minister of Economy. It happened that this task was very serious. It is the 5th time we are bringing additional documents, additional certificates, and so on and so forth. That's all what I wanted to tell you. And I also wanted to underline that toll roads, the topic of toll roads is being discussed very seriously. And it's gratifying that huge regional road construction companies who express their wish to take part in concessions of our roads as investors. And where there is an alternative for construction of the toll roads or launching toll roads, not only by constructing them, but also by reconstructing of the existing arteries already. It seems to me that there is a big future for them. And though also it is the bypass of settlements, large traffic. We are living in different realities right now. The things that existed 10 years ago in the Republic, after construction of largest federal facilities, M12, the bypasses of Nabizhny Chelny and Nizhnekamsk, our regional highway Alexeyevsk-Almetьevsk, give a different picture, a reformation of our traffic. We can see this with surprise and pleasure as all financial models which were laid in foundation of the Voznesensky Tract and Alexeyevsk have been overfulfilled. We have been done much more than we planned. Thank you. Farid Borisovich, thank you so much. I would like to state from the common users, from the residents, my parents live there, and if previously they went outside for 1 hour and a half, but now this time decreased just to 10 minutes. So that's why the Republic is implementing a very useful project. Thank you very much for that we have them. The next presenter is my co-moderator, Denis Kirifin, Deputy Head of the Department of the Regional Development and Implementation of National Projects of Federal Agency, Digitalization of Services of Federal Agency. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I am happy to welcome you again in Kazan. We have just had a meeting of a working group on ITS. There are more and more people. It is positive change. This means that we are in trend. There is a demand of the users, of the customers. My topic is dedicated to digitalization of services of the Federal Road Agency. We will speak about the systems we have right now and how we can scale them up further, and to raise money for the Federal Road Fund. Yes, there is a question. Why do we build them? Just like that, because it's interesting, there are a lot of cameras in the world. No, of course not. The main thing what we're doing this, it is the feeling of Federal Road Fund. Everybody understands that there are some limitations connected to the budget. The construction costs rise, the maintenance costs rise, and when they passed the laws on road funds, they didn't take into consideration modern tendencies, e-mobiles. That's why we should come to social justice, as it is very fashionable to say. and everybody who uses the infrastructure must pay. For example, some granddad rides in the city, not going to federal highways or some large regional highways. And he will ask me, why should I pay? That's why we analyzed of the non-tax sources of coming to the road fund and come to a conclusion that payments from the Platon system make up to 75%. Then issuing special permissions and payments for using the roads from foreign transport vehicles and other revenues, servitude, rent, and also make a very little part of filling the federal road fund. And we ask ourselves a question: how can we increase the filling of this fund using various digital services, digital systems? Right now we have discussed, and two colleagues from regions have identical presentation, and they didn't discuss even that. And the topic is as follows. Just recently they implemented the web system, and there are certain limitations on using information and data collected by this system. Why do we want to get into the network, into the web system? Because some people just close their license plate when they are going under cameras. What the Platon system is a very interesting topic. They started selling the jammers, commercial structures started selling jammers. People, for example, use the toll roads and pay their just topics. This is a bad competition, and they destroy the transportation market. And those who are decent people, and if it is more than 12,000 tons, and if it goes with jammer, it jams not only this car but also the car which is going by. That's why we ask ourselves, how can we fight this practice? And since the 1st of September, there is the readjustment of the route. A very interesting service as a struggle with non-payers. And not just a struggle, an opportunity to evade the REB services to the board systems of Platon system. For example, if the vehicle goes from Moscow and uses the federal highways, the route of the vehicle will be readjusted. We think that readjustment is a very good service, and it's better to pay a fare than to pay a 5,000 rubles fine, because we understand the fines are growing, and we are pursuing a very decent target of payment. And the web system could help us to increase the functionality of the Platon system. And if a vehicle passed under the camera and it was fixed, or the driver can come to us and say, no, I didn't go there. I said, okay, look, you're on the first camera, on the second camera, on the fourth camera. Then this will be an evidence base, and the use of the jammer will be senseless. I will single out the main landmarks which we're pursuing for digitalization of transport complex, including the just toll taken on the roads. And in 2025, we are planning to use this additional infrastructure, SGK Avtodor, and we have discussed that it is a burning problem. In 2025, we must understand either we use the web system, try to get into it if it's possible, if the colleagues from internal ministry will support us, or develop our own photo-video fixation network. No, video fixation. It is video fixation. You understand quite well that the development also need capital expenses. We should evade this because we have various systems. For example, Platon system is installed every 100, 150 kilometers in our federal highways. In 2027, maybe earlier, maybe later, we will be able to develop these services, this trend at all highways and integrate them into one system. We have developed the Platon system. Why? To give birth to a number of other systems. There is one system which can be readjusted and which can transfer data by creating combined equipment, for example, on-board tachographers. The Ministry of Transport is discussing this question. And as far as the toll roads are concerned, or regional federal roads, we will be able to exchange data and other controlling infrastructure. By 2030, we will be able to move to some social justice related to implementation of the principle, the use of the road pays. Accordingly, these are just discussions, but nevertheless, when developing and implementing these measures, which I mentioned, up to modernization of the Platon system and the opportunity of using the web system, Rosavtodor can become a concedent of toll roads, and the whole system will be seamless. And all over the country, we will be able to implement free flow and not to have various systems and exchange data with the Avtodor and to get a fast lane implementation or some other opportunities of regional systems of fare. This all can be integrated into one system, which is already created, and we just need to scale it up. All the data which will be obtained to answer the question, why are you doing all this? This is a huge data massive which can be used not only for taking the toll, but for the length of other things. You will be able to know where your cargo is going, which you ordered in Wildberries or in some other marketplaces. You will see it where it is being loaded, unloaded, and entrepreneurs will be able to see that. And to build their logistics chains, decreasing the costs, and the federal budget will be filled without any problems. So I told you, thank you very much for your attention.
Denis Mikhailovich, thank you very much. I got some questions, but during your presentations, you answered all of them. I'll just recapitulate what you said. As an engineer, in terms of the number of the constituents, you don't need to create a new systems. You have some experience, some track record that have been implemented since 2015, and take into account some modernization and upgrading, you can take advantage of it. Because state spent already time and money on developing it. It's so very happy to hear that. I'd like to give the floor to the colleague of mine, co-moderator, Igor Andropov, Director of the Department of Information Technologies and Intelligent Transport Systems, Avtodor Company. So modern technologies and development on the roads of the state corporations. Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to see you all. We have these annual meetings, all familiar faces, but I'd like to start with your presentations. We live in the world of the import substitution, and we were shown the English road, but in Russia, even during the Tsar period, the first toll road was under St. Petersburg and Schwarzenberg vicinity. They had very different types of transport vehicles. It was the carriage, the horse-ridden, pair of horse-ridden, 4 horses and 6 horses. And probably we'd better show in the presentation the Russian experience, not the English one. That's why we are co-moderating, in order to have this wide span and comprehensive review. Let's start with the numbers. Annually we grow 3,500 toll roads that we have. The revenue is almost 140 billion rubles. Transponders, there are quite many of them, and number is growing. More than 3.5 million, more than 3 million actually. The share of the trips using transponders, we were boasting having 70, now it is only 54. Not because the users refuse to use it to pay for the toll roads, but we intensively introduce new sections, new regions, and I hope that number will grow again. We actively moving to the east, M12 highway. It will keep up and even be longer than M4 federal highway. North-south corridor and east-west corridor will be equal. And with the colleagues from Rosavtodor, we work closely on delivering some of the parts of the M12 to the state companies management to extend this highway to the eastwards. We implemented in 2018 the system of the interoperational. It allows the 4 emittents that are present in the Russian Federation producing transponders to exchange in transactions, and there is a chance to use them at any section of the highway, of the toll road. The system is much popular. Overall roaming transfers and travels is more than 65 billion rubles. Voznesensky highway to Bavli, we added new section with all 4 emittents you can take advantage of at this section of the road. As of the results over the recent year, in the end of December last year, we put into operation small but very important section. We finished connected central ring highway. It was very narrow place. Allowed you can take advantage of this modern highway around the Moscow region. Together with the colleagues from Rosavtodor company, we implemented a 289 road. It also working free flow system as a toll road, and we have very comfort up to the Crimean bridge to spend your vacation in Crimea. The big project that was quite recently implemented with a huge effect. We opened 275 kilometers of the toll road M12 that covers 3 regions. The effect is very good, specifically for cargo, for trucks. The route is from Yekaterinburg to Kazan. It reduced by almost 200 kilometers, and you save up to 4 hours in time. And as for the fuel, 50-60 liters, depending on the type of the truck. And the cargo flow will switch to this route, we hope. And a small but important project, right after Achit, we opened the access from M12 highway to the Valdai Lake. Those who went on vacation know that very beautiful places. Now we can get to this place much faster taking this road. And as far as I know, Rosavtodor reconstructed the driveways to the Valdai Lake. I would like to say a few words about this Immersive Technology Center. When you attended some state companies' stands, we have the automotive simulation, the car seat, the steering wheel, and monitor. You can take different roads of our country, not as an entertainment, but it gives certain effect. Two major effects that I would like to speak about here. During the initial design in the bypass road around Adler, we developed a model of the very complex sites, and was effectively when we saw the designer make them drive the car, and he trying to these connections and exits, and without reverse driving it's impossible to do. And it's very important to change the design at the design stage, not after state expertise and not during implementation, but at the very initial stage. And the second thing, unexpected effect that we got, and you can see the VR Googles. Sometimes you have to deal with the situations of the intensive traffic and the federal highways during the holidays, red letter days, different congestion in the gasoline stations. And we started working with the petrol companies in terms of the location of these sites, so multifunctional zones. And using VR Googles on this design section, you can walk around. It's very interesting for business. Which sites to place, where playgrounds, children playgrounds to place, the canteens, the cafeteria. It has a very good effect. And I have that new gas stations that I opened at M12, M11. You'll take advantage of it and get some good effect, and nobody will be complaining and queuing up, waiting for some person to come back with a coffee, and you'll be able to do that timely. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. And may I add one more thing? It has been mentioned in the previous session, the pilotless logistics corridor. On August 7, 2024, we have the extended PR 1849, the central ring automotive highway, and M12 East. We started the pilotless trucks. We started along the M11, and now we have along that Skat central ring automotive highway, and the pilotless trucks will be piloted there. We'll take this road. The effect is very impressive. 19,000 trips have been made so far, and I think that the pilotless trucks is becoming a reality, actually. Thank you very much for your attention. Yuri, thank you. It's always very informative presentation that you make, and we'll give the floor to Rosavtodor. And if we consider the unified system of the payment of the toll roads, the technologically, how could be organized board on board, mobile, not mobile, transponder, or some comprehensive solution? So your approach, your vision, what do you think? May I start? Well, it's a very complex question, difficult to answer, I would say. For the companies who collect the money at the toll roads, it's all about identification of the vehicles. The hidden systems, for years we've been discussing that license plate, you should integrate the RFID indicator or detector or sensor. But if operator collecting money, less errors we have, the better it will be. And we have to look for these technologies. E2X option is the best. It's been discussed for quite a long. It is interconnected transport that not just address the issue of collecting money from the toll roads, but it's also the issue of security and safety on roads. If the operator of the highway responsible for road security and safety knows what is happening to the car at that very moment in real time, from the board computer or from the vehicle through this special buzz about the abrupt stop of the car, or if the airbags have been injected, and you decrease the mortality rate as a result of road accidents, and can in real time respond to any situation. It's all about the technologies. We should ask them, keep up and try to test, and we will be testing some technologies that you might be developed. May I intervene? I say a few words. I totally agree. So I think colleagues who will be speaking about that, my request, as well as in the previous session, we have three options. B2X, communication of the vehicle with the infrastructure, combo device, combined format, or registering identification of some closed license plate and the vehicle, and it was tracked by some camera and by some key indicators and identified that he is violator, perpetrator. He closed the license plate and he'll be prosecuted. We have some cases as such, and we as an expert community have to define what is the best solution here. At the point, we'll find some solutions and try to come up with the proposals. And I would like to give the floor Alexey Vasilyevich, head of the chairman for transport of Kazan, and ask him a question. From your perspective, what are your further areas of development in terms of the intelligent transport systems? Good afternoon, colleagues, participants of the roundtable discussion. Road traffic management is one of the important tools on ensuring the comfortable city environment, and we have for 20 years been working on that special enterprise in the road transport system management. We service and maintain more than 500 traffic lights, 983 detectors, almost 1,000 CCTV cameras, and more than 50,000 road signs. And events organized in the city, of the regional and federal level, international events, and development of the road infrastructure and networks. We've built and reconstructed a great number of roads, but as it was highlighted in the Farid Madarich's report, density of the road network is still not very high, 1.33 per square kilometer. Without technological solutions to address this question of management, the road traffic is impossible. We have the special solutions for intelligent transport systems project that has been started in 2013 ahead of University Games. That time, 98 traffic lights were connected into intelligent transport systems ITS. In 2025, that number increased to 256. 103 traffic lights are equipped with the special modems, which allows to in the real time get the information about the functionality and serviceability and operationality of these traffic lights, and to coordinate its operation, change the mode of the operation of the traffic lights depending on the time of the day. And we're planning to further develop the ITS. We want to connect annually up to 15 traffic lights, and we'll continue that work, and I believe that with the support of Ministry of Transport and State Budget Organization for the road security and safety, implementation of different events for ITS development allowed to increase the average speed by 5 kilometers per hour, as for the capacity by 15%. And the time reduced waiting at traffic lights by 5–10%. And it's very important to highlight of the number of the vehicles. So far we have more than 485,000 vehicles, and the growth since 2015 is 108,000. So by quarter we increased. As for the technological solutions, will not be enough to address this effective road management. There are some other organizational events that need it. And since 2015, we have this the parking space, that payable ones. Initially, there were number of the parking spots of 1,250. Now there are about 14,000 parking spots that you have to pay for. It's all about the organizational issues. It's important to develop the public transport. That's a very important element of the transport policy, to provide the population with a comfortable public transport. But to ensure this priority in the road network, we have special lanes for public transport. Their length as of the date is more than 180 kilometers. To ensure the comfort of the trips, we regularly upgrade the vehicles over the 2024-2025. we put in operation 39 trolley buses and more than 40 buses, 271 buses, 18 trams have been renewed. I mean, we put into operation new vehicles. So there is a chance to pay using QR code, geolocation, geotag, using biometrical data option. We're gradually moving on to conductorless payments option, and this system is integrated in all the electric vehicles, about 300 vehicles actually. And the buses that we introduce, 73 buses are equipped with the system. 111 buses will be equipped with this conductorless payment system. And the whole transport system, there is nothing new. It is connected to a GLONASS system, and it is working integrated to automated transport management system. In real time, you can track the location of each specific vehicle, bus, trolleybus, and tram, and organize and manage this movement depending on the need to get to some specific vehicle, specific route. Very convenient for our passengers. And digital solutions will be further on implemented in the public transport and road transport system management. Thank you very much for your attention. Alexei, thank you very much. All the experts all agree that high quality public transport, comfortable and convenient, is one of the effective tools for management of demand and supply and to reduce the burden on road network. And we see that in Kazan it's being developed, being improved, and we like to wish you good luck for the achieve success. And then we have a different. Please raise a hand those who visited St. Petersburg at least once in your lifetime. Wow. St. Petersburg is rightfully considered one of the most beautiful cities of Russia. Favorite city for population of our country. You have never asked the question how it is all organized. I mean, these vehicles, buses. Today we have Andrei Matsavin, director of the St. Petersburg State Organization for Road Transport Management of that city, unified management platform of the transport system. Good afternoon, colleagues, dear participants. You have to pay a certain price for the beauty to enjoy. In that very case, some basic numbers. We have 3,000 kilometers and 282 kilometers of waterways. It's about 7%. More than 470 bridges. Per 1,000 residents, we have 321 vehicles with a population of almost 4 million people. And we had certain challenges for road transport infrastructure, complex geography, high density of construction and building, and we are the city of federal significance as a terms of the cultural heritage. And it creates certain impediments, certain restrictions and limitations. I'll give an example. During installation of some equipment, we are supervised by some organizations that prohibit and ban us, and all the time we're looking for different solutions. Very complex infrastructure requires innovative management for different city agglomerations. It's an open secret that we're developing services on the small mobility devices, on the bicycle couriers, and nowadays the city has to introduce certain restrictions in the central part, and we restricted for the bicycle couriers and for scooters, but and it should be taken into account and should be taken into account while statistical surveys. Every time trends are increasing and setting new pace. We have to adjust the principle of interaction of the residents with the means of transport while some subway systems are closed, while we have some big different events. We have St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, the the Red Sails event, and some other international events, and it sets certain goals and certain challenges that we have to address on a regular basis. And that's how we change the transport logistics systems, and the restrictions that we introduce. They should take into account the comfort for the residents of St. Petersburg. The overall digitalization is to improve the automation of the process, and we have to create the unified environment based on different scenarios, and I'd like to say that a bit later. In order to integrate all the ITS into the St. Petersburg interaction with the external systems and commercial as well. It's important to create. So that need led to the thing that we laid a special emphasis on creating of unified transport management system based on So that's Committee for Transport, and integrating the different scenarios, interacting with the external information systems, as I mentioned previously. The goal of that system is to ensure the information exchange with different stakeholders and transport systems of St. Petersburg. And here I'd like to lay special emphasis on the fact that it's not about the new technologies that appear year by year, but it's important to ensure to have this seamless integration with the modals and the systems that have been there in St. Petersburg for quite a while. On the public transport, water transport, and some other means of transport, and connecting with the federal highways. Development of designing of that unified system. It's not only ITS, it's about the roads, it's all about the service that is provided there. That is taken advantage of by our residents, by the tourists coming to the city, and we speak a lot about the technologies that we use here. And at the end of the day, we understand that, first of all, we have to create a comfort environment specifically for cultural historical heritage, which St. Petersburg is all about. Using the best practices, using best technologies, and ITS implies describing different scenarios. They might vary depending on the level of automation of all the participants. We identify the role of all the participants and in accordance with the prescribed algorithm. In 2023-2022, we developed a technical project for this unified system. We have, as part of this project, we implied 22 systems and a structure. It has 3 levels, 3 tiers. The first level, or model, ensuring the upper level of interaction, something they can see on a slide. The upper part, in the middle, and these instrumental subsystems that are provisioned for this cooperative and implementation of different scenarios. And third one is a peripheral for data transfer, the bottom 2 lines. It implies interaction with more than 20 outside information systems. And regional navigational system, RNAs, automated management system of the road traffic police, automated IST of Leningrad region, and some other systems. We have the second order, the second line. We signed a contract up to 2026, and we're planning to create a section for control of these small mobile devices and scooters. We integrate the systems for monitoring of the peripheral equipment, integrating these images from the cameras. And the organization also take the responsibility for supervising this video recording. That's another challenge for us in terms of not only administrating these road accidents and road police and road traffic violations, but also in terms of the analysis. In the unified system, we have 22 models, internal and external models, different scenarios, management, geoinformation model, digital twin analytical security model, road accidents management assessment, CCTV, and detecting road accidents and emergencies, traffic lights management, priority system, and system for the protection of the information. By 2028, we're planning to implement to these 10 another 5 subsystems, model for efficiency control, centralized informing of the road traffic participants, and comprehensive management of the road network. Introduction of the scenarios of the ITS and the crossroads management in order to add service platform B2X, what we mentioned previously, modernizing safe roads, accidents, and annual modernization and development of subsystems, depending on the challenges that the city is dealing with. As it was mentioned previously, the scenario approach and development of a number of different functionality of systems is the founding stone of the IPUT's implementation and data provision. The public transport will allow to timely inform the population thanks to the platforms and integrated platform like Yandex and 2GIS. In order to implement the services of the ITS, it's very important to apply the functionality not only in unified system of the transport management, but in others. And the software should be updated, upgraded, what I mentioned in the beginning, integration with the current systems. Implementation of the information system about different accidents in airports, railway stations, to timely inform the population, to quickly respond and recover from different accidents, to reduce the time on operating different situations for all the participants of the process. Implementation of navigation services, including the parking spaces occupied. It's a huge leap forward in searching for the vacant parking spots for the car drivers. It will provide the relevant information about the available parking spots, which will reduce the time for searching for parking spots. In the previous session, this service has been tested, so it's quite an indicator for us. The basic idea for implementing of the service is building the route based on the traffic lights signals. It is based on taking into account the current situation of the traffic lights, and as part of the service we have the following functions. Condition of the traffic lights, time before color changes, different routes while planning some route, and interacting with the current services. Route is calculated not based on the kilometers, but also based on the traffic lights modes on the way along that route. Here on the slide, we try to visualize current situation of the integrated map, and unified system has integrated with 18 external information systems. I enumerated them, and in terms of the we received information from the average speed, intensity, the meteo stations, the temperature and pressure. And all these integrations implies expanding the functionality and implementing of new services of ITS, and we're planning to expand it further thanks to different potentials and capacities. It's very important to ensure unified systems. I would like to finalize it. I would like to say that we are moving to the purely Russian software. We have already tested. We're not worrying about that. And in the end, I would like to highlight successful addressing of the goal set and implementation of the scenario-based approach requires proper management, different guidelines, and specific emphasis on the HR policy. So we built a new updated systems of interaction with the universities, with the colleges, and we provide this continuous training for our future employees. That's the end of the report. Thank you. Andrei, thank you very much. So that's quite a quintessential report when we go to St. Petersburg. We know that
голова. Видно, что большой путь прошли.
You underwent a very long way. And if you have any questions, we'll ask the. And as for the next speaker, with a big words of thank you, it's a true expert. It's a scientist. It's the person from whom I learn a lot, and he's a trendsetter for many people. Kirill Blinkin, the head of the Institute of Economy, Transport and Transport Policy, ordinary professor of the Higher School of Economics. Payment for using the roads, history of the question, and reality of 2025. Please, the floor is yours.
Good evening, dear colleagues, friends. I will tell you about how to move. How can I move the pictures? Okay. I will tell you the difference between toll and untoll roads will be in history of transport economy and transport policy in the nearest future. The end of the story. What are we speaking about? Why do we pay for the roads not to the provider of the services, but as a bypass? So in the 19th century, they already paid. We paid to the provider. We are paying to the provider for mobile phone use. And we pay for the roads, some funds. Why? Just technically. Before all these digital instruments happened to be, this was impossible to be done technically. How could you collect money, either a block, yes, or to take the meters from the odometer? It can be anything. And on the toll roads, it was used before the free flow, and Chinese tried to install the toll roads. So yes, Chinese experiment finished in 2009 because even with their very strict legislation, the theft was horrible. So they shot somebody and just canceled this. And the recipe of the odometer. So I come to the tax service. The only country in the world which this recipe was used is New Zealand. They're the world leader struggling corruption, in fighting corruption. Every year we have the world ranking, and New Zealand is the first. They managed to do this. No, not as other country can do that. Then, what is the main defect of the current taxation system? And here we have a statement by super famous economist William Wickley, who was a specialist in taxation of Vickery. The more the load of the underground, or the more the load on the highway, the more you have to pay. There are two defects of the current system: absence of the adequate differentiation of tariffs, take into consideration peak or non-peak loads. He explained all this with the theory of transport for flow, just examining his own bathtub. Why is the water flowing very slow when the bathtub is full, and why does it flow very quickly? This is the increased load of the road. They do not take into consideration this way that we are paying. Well, it's not enough. And the other second defect is there were the same experiments, and this thing is happening with us. The professional community of trucks and road maintenance were quarreling about compensation of losses. In the US, they decided to introduce special polygons where they tested technical issues, which loss is given to the road by a car. So the destruction impact is the fourth part of the load. You understand what we're talking? Yes, my car, SUV, and a truck, which makes the bigger loss of the road. We do not take this into consideration. It is very interesting what balance of the payments do we have right now. How much do we pay for the roads and how much the road, the city, the country spends for the roads. How much we do pay and how much we expend. We have very interesting numbers here in the radical variant. In Western Europe, in Singapore and other countries, the amounts are bigger than 0. In Moscow, it is 2.0, 20%. In the cities of Russia, about 0.7. It's not because car drivers pay more, but the road economy costs more. So this is not just some deep theory. Here we have real numbers concerning the budget of Moscow. These are open data for 25, 26, 27, 19%, 21%, something around it. In fact, every Moscow car driver gets a subsidy from the road economy about 80,000 rubles. Is it correct or not? Try to explain this to a driver. The understanding of road pricing was introduced 60 years ago. In Russia, it means the user of cars plus directly for using for a certain road in a certain region. This was introduced in 1964. He was the most experienced scientist in roads. So everybody wrote that there was Iron Curtain. No, it was a winter of 1970. He made this presentation, which caused a surprising reaction of Linda Hume, who ordered this report, and she wrote, it has been published. I promise you that if I am elected a prime minister one more, I will never order such reports. And now we say that we are paying for each kilometer. The softest thing which I have heard. Just imagine, it's 1964. What else has changed in the last years? The last scientific concert on the native land of Robin Smith was in September of 2024. What has changed in academical and political discussions and IT businesses? These are words of Phil Goodwin, who was the student of Robin Dwin. I have a very close communication with this, and the shifts here are quite objective. Moreover, that my friend Sergei Vasilyevich what has changed lately? First of all, we have gained a real-world experience. Singapore, with all its road structure, started taking toll for roads and using the Vickrey tax. I talked to the Prime Minister, and he said, yes, I have heard something like that, but my engineers have forecast this. Using odometers, the simplest mechanism. In New Zealand, it is 1977. The system of payments for heavy trucks works in Germany and in many other countries. Payments for jams, which were introduced in London and Stockholm, starting from the beginning of this year in Manhattan. And the pilot projects of transition to this new system work in very many countries of the world, in 20 states of the US. This is clear practice. And the gentleman which introduced the free entrance to London, or zones, he came to Kazan. This picture was taken before COVID. I told how we drank beer with them. Okay. There was an influential community of IT companies who specialize on gathering these tolls, on collection this toll. The most important is why the colleague has mentioned this already. the revenue basis of road funds is decreasing. Why? This is the data from very reliable sources. For 100 meters of distance, the trucks use less fuel than it was 10 or 15 years ago. So there are, the revenues are smaller, and the exponential growth of non-payers in the world. E-mobiles do not pay, gas mobiles do not, hybrids are not paying. So there are a lot of mobile cars which do not pay. And if this story, how to from traditional taxes to kilometer payments, the scientists would have been talking about this for the next 20 years, but the catastrophic drop of revenues of the largest, the oldest road FOB, it is the American Road Trust Fund, established by the Eisenhower in 1956, was the cause. I didn't take part in that discussion. I am not guilty. This is the indicator. It is the largest and historically the first road fund, and it has become dropping down. The forecast for 2025 is horrible. The same is happening with the Russian road fund. I'm not going to speak about that. What are the aims of the reasonable, just taxation, whether they're achievable or non-achievable, with the new or old mechanism? We said, okay, let's move the excises. Okay, we will raise the excises. Then the owner of old Zhiguli will pay for a person who bought a Mercedes or BMW e-mobiles, because a good car costs about 200,000 euros. The payback of costs, yes, of course we can do that, but at first it will cause a little row, and it's not enough. Struggle with jams. You cannot solve this technically. The distribution of traffic flow, I've just discussed this problem. Without tarification on what sector of the road, what price it should be, it cannot be done technically. In this system, yes, it can be done. Transition to the adequate balance. It is possible. Elimination of connection with the taxation of oil fuels, yes. Stepwise of removal of road economy from budget financing, because it was caused by the fact because nobody knew how to collect money from the roads. Why do we pay in this strange way for using the roads by federal treasury and whatever? And the numbers. If there are any journalists, please don't take pictures. How will it increase? Yes, it will increase as far as SUVs is concerned, or passenger cars are concerned. If we want to reach 1.5% of GRP, we will increase the payment 3 times. And of course, it will be differentiated because I would increase the ride on the Boulevard ring in Moscow. And the end is very sad. Active discussions are going on in many countries of the world. I have read the Australian report in the beginning of the year. I liked it very much. A man who is writing it, the survey, says, addressing scientists, initiators of this experiment, on transition of the per kilometer payment. just go and explain the reasonability of this implementation to the truck drivers, and I will see. I will look. In English, it is called e-road pricing. And in Russian, there is the name which exists from Russia. It is the peat tax. It was peat is not just a pit in the road. It was a place where they changed the horses. Thank you very much for your attention. I am so sorry for having stolen your time. Mikhail Yakovlevich, you do not see, you just gave us this time and gave the possibility to merge into history, and many of us didn't have this information in such a simple way. I have even a question whether there will be or no the e-pricing. But in the nearest future, it will be. We will have it, e-road pricing. It is very likely that it is being to introduce as the current system of road funds, as it was introduced in 110 years ago, in the beginning of the 90s, it cannot live. It's not vital. We can ask Vladimir Moskvichov, as he is the head of the profile committee of the State Duma. He knows very much about that. What can we do? And as Mikhail Yakovlevich said quite correctly, and the friend of our Mikhail Yakovlevich is our friend, and he joined us by video conference, member of the State Duma, the member of the Committee on Transport, Sergei Yeremin. How can you hear us? Yes, I can hear you quite well. Can you hear me? Yes, please. Good afternoon, dear friends. I am happy to take part in this session. Moreover, I think that I will be singing in the tune with Mikhail Yakovlevich, maybe with different emotions, different viewpoints, but we will enrich this story. I would state the problem of our roundtable by 3 words: brave, promising, and just. I will try to decode these 3 basic epithets. First of all, brave. Mikhail Yakovlevich quite justifiably stated that how to punish and how can you punish, or what should you do with people who are to blame. That's why it is brave already, because there are very few people who are ready to speak on this topic, even though I would say it is in the category of our public maturity. We lack a public maturity. Earlier, we could blame the weak technologies, and digital technologies are not an argument. And the previous colleagues also said that we have unmanned vehicles riding our roads, even though the Europe is shy to move to this. That's why it seems to me that it is only in the social political aspect. We are very lucky to have Mikhail Yakovlevich. He has this bravery, and he carried out such conference in Moscow already on the basis of the university, and we have discussed these approaches last year. And I would like to say that despite that bravery takes towns, but the bravery should be also strengthened by the sense. And where there is the sense, there is a prospect. The second, this epithet about perspective. In fact, there can be certain aspects. First, it is necessary to decompose our simple economic task to collect active and to look what we have. So we have, correctly speaking, it is not clear because we cannot understand the Siemens system of collecting money for maintenance of road highways. There can be some of them, and I am ready to carry out an experiment. If you ask how much do you pay for your personal mobile activity, and I don't think anyone will be able to give a concrete number, even though Mikhail Yakovlevich said not to take pictures of these numbers. Last year, when we calculated this, for me, I calculated my personal mobility. For me, it will cost me rather reasonably. I calculated how much fuel I use, all the excises through the transport taxes, insurance, and so on. It's not that scary. Yes. Now we are coming to the issue of justice. I think that now I quite agree that not a single economic model, market model of an enterprise will not be able to exist in this regime which our roads are financed. The model is not working. How it is surviving, it is unclear. This is called our budget maneuvers. I would like to address to the service you. You just look at the map, especially and the network of the roads. It now resembles an absolutely ready contour map with for the first grade. And taking into consideration that only the meridian transport communication from east to west is 10,000 kilometers. Yes, we can see very actively developing Moscow and St. Petersburg transport logistics hub, Kazan hub, but we are speaking only about one highway. And how should we develop it further? Also, we should take into consideration that in the future we are the country with a huge transit potential. How are we going to implement it? Also remains a big question. That's why speaking about the issue of whether there is prospects for the toll roads, yes, with eternal capacity. And we will have to approach this question in the nearest future. Now we can speak about any transport polygon, either West Siberia, West, whatever. The situation will be identical, maybe even worse. That's why our capacity for the development and the prospects are endless. That's why our roads are prepared to transfer to new models of financing. We will have to do that from one epoch to another. As far as the justice is concerned, the third epithet. Here is the same. Nikolai made a detailed presentation of all our expenses, who and pays for what. And currently it seems to me that there is no any justice. And it seems to me that even this level of discrimination of justice begins to appear in the community. They divided clearly two categories. For example, suburban trains and road users. One of them pay for the roads, but if we're speaking about justice, then this It seems to me that this thermometer of justice should be looked upon as we understand that there will be new transport vehicles. The efficiency of trucks is growing and the payment will be decreasing. And we are trying to squeeze everything from the trucks and are loading them much more and cause much losses or destruction. And I support the issue of regulating transport flow. It is not very easy to collect money, to find money for road maintenance. It is an element of regulation, absolutely justifiable. And that's why I would look at this justice thermometer from the point of view of situation of a common economic pragmatism, because the farther we discuss and the more we will go far away from the line of compromise and justice. That's why, summarizing, I think that now we are approaching very closely to the stage when we have to formulate the title priorities, which will be in justifiable and necessary provision of the development of our highway network.
Sergey, thank you very much for joining our discussion. I would like to mention that everybody mentioned that how much we pay for an apartment, for utilities, electricity, and water supply. If we recapitulate it annually or monthly, how we pay for mobility. Sometimes we need it, sometimes not, maybe less volume. So we have to revisit and reconsider it, to recalculate it, and for our family members. That will be considered as a home task for everyone. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for being with us. The next speaker I would like to congratulate, because this year has become truly important. And for the whole city, it's the Director General, Optima Technology Company, Rustem Rafikov. They launched the Voznесensky Highway. Please, the floor is yours. Once again, good afternoon. I would like to split it up into parts, just to highlight the major events that we go for as part of the operation, optimizing of some processes. And the second part focused on specific case, what digital tools we use daily. Shortly, intro. Voznесensky Highway, the toll road, only 7.5 kilometers, put on operation at the end of last year. While planning and designing, we suppose it to be 13,000 vehicles a day. As part of the toll period, we have 2.7 million drives during the and 380,000 unique users. Since the moment we start taking the money, 17,000 drives, and what is important, it's free flow system. For general understanding, 3 modules of the PPP I would like to highlight. Public-private partnership. In order to explain why we do and what we do, 3 major models with no warranty of profitability, payment for accessibility, and minimum guaranteed profitability. 2 basic factors, 2 basic differences. It's all about thanks to which we have this payback period as for the capital expenditures and which side take the commercial risks, profitability of investor. Voznесensky tract is implemented the first model without guarantees of the profitability. What motivates the concessionaire to optimize the expenses? Timing is short. I would like to focus on operation, as well as any organization and any enterprise and the commercial one. We have to be focused on increasing the profitability. To increase the revenue, it is divided into three major differences. It's taking payment for the using the road, working with the users, and searching for additional sources of income. Working with the users, it's a regular balance with the plant of the concessionaire. As for the average check is rather small, rather bill, but population using it 2, 3, 4 times a day, 4, 5, 7 days a week. It could be the price. We're trying to keep the price low. Another important thing is the loyalty program. During not the rush hour for the first category, it's 95% of the overall drives, and we have the small discount. During rush hours, it's 150 rubles, not rush hours, 90 rubles. And simplifying process of payment. It is connected. We are basically with users, since they are quite often use the road. It's not always convenient to go to the site, the website, to pay for it. Integration with other services, mobile banks, and we're working to develop our own app for the payment with your personal account, personal profile. And the next one is the transponders. Transponders, I would mention them as the margin is rather small and rather modest, but we're working on making the emittance of our own transponders. And Dorog company will support us in that initiative. What else we consider? Advertisement in the exits, and we should strike a balance. To put too much advertisement can result in some increased number of the road accidents, and we consider it as an option. We are very careful about that option. As for the exits and internally city and more extended ones, it's one of the good sources as by road services offered. In terms of the optimizing costs, what we use nowadays, the automation, digitalization, optimizing of technical maintenance, the rational HR policy, attracting experienced operator in terms of the maintaining the road, an experienced operator who is taking the money from the toll road, and these continuous analytics. And from the digital perspective, the continuous analytics is organized using dashboards. We're constantly monitoring the number of the cars passing by and the way the user behave in terms of the payment. What are the debts? What can we do with that? It is done on a regular basis. And an example I would like to give what we use in terms of the numbers and what helps us to reduce the expenses, the increasing the quality control and operate this toll road section, Toll City Soft. Advertising colleagues taking opportunity, and basically very cheap option which allows to monitor and control what is happening in the roads and specifically its condition. It implies a small smartphone that is installed in the vehicle, and the emergency road traffic accidents commissars, and AI actually analyzes the road flow, then neural networks register accidents, send it to the Tigis. It's quite cheap option how we can track and detect and identify what is happening in the road. Then we respond to different accidents. After the recovery of the situation, we check and control what happened, what were the reasons behind. We store that information and keep it. And for understanding the major models used by us, 5 models are indicated here of the road surface defects, when the car went by, if there's some fracture or some crack, longitudinal, lateral, and we can register what exactly we need to do, and we understand what exactly maintenance should be done over the first years. Our warranty works, and for the future it's a very good tool. And the similar approach for the lines and for the indicators and signs. Sometimes it gets wrapped up and the system analyzed it, and we prioritize which events should be taken, which steps should be taken, and that's how we plan the costs. The special module registering the lamp posts that are not functioning, according to the state service, they should be not at all more than 5% of them. Even if we meet this requirement, we still trying to plan what events that should be taken, should be organized. And similarly on the road signs and the snow level, snow cover level. Timing is short. I would be happy to answer questions if possible, if there are any. Thank you very much. Rustam Rinach, thank you very much. I would like to highlight specifically how much attention is given to convenience and comfort of the user. You know, to make every lamp post and every register snow be cleaned out, and that's what makes difference. It's the toll road and toll-free, and there is a lot of work that is behind this work and a lot of commitment of the whole team of the STEM, those who are maintaining, operating it, ensuring this toll road. Thank you very much for this commitment, and hopefully there will be some more projects. Now I'd like to give the floor to the next speaker, our colleague, a friend of us. He is a member of the VTB Group Infrastructural Holding, Kirill Zuev, Director General of the PUS company and Director for Infrastructural Holding. Kirill, please tell us how you manage these projects in your big holding. Maybe you can share some experience that you have. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. It's quite late. I try to be short, but I would like to take a bit of your attention. VTB Infrastructural Holding is in the infrastructural investment market for 15 years. We implement different concession projects, airports, campuses, ports, and toll roads. We build a lot of roads, and has been done thanks to the fact that inside our holding we have a lot of specific companies, and they're vertically integrated the whole structure, and it allows to go for different functions as operation, technical, customer, and to actually build these roads as a developer. And I would like to say what technologies, digital technologies were used during the Vitebsk urban sprawl, and give an example of St. Pete, where we visited thanks to the previous speakers. Vitebsk junction has been put into operation quite recently, and digital technologies were developed by our partners, were used at all the stages of this project implementation. So VTB Infrastructural Holding was the major contractor and technical commissioner, and they managed the project and integrated ITS. Their own and not only. And this site is some kind of a synergy of what could be done and could be used and integrated, how you can build this unified information transport system. Starting with the construction. It's the first time in our life we become the digital technical customer, and we develop our own practice for unified digital cycle of all the paperwork, execution paperwork. We have the shared environment that was developed inside, and we developed certain block of information for further, in order to further develop and establish the digital twin of the road. The automation of this process allowed to intensify and speed up the approval process for the designers, engineers, who set certain and approved it within the system, and documentation quickly being processed by all the stages. As part of this Vitebsk junction, we used the pilot project on development of the digital twin of the road, one of the elements. It was interesting what could be the benefits. It reduced the mistakes, errors, and allowed in the future to use this data while operating this road and while planning technical maintenance and repair. The way it looked, how we put it from the documents. We used the lidars to know what happened during the construction, compared it, any variations and errors that might appear, and introduce some changes in order to speed up the putting this site into operation. Initially, the project had the extension of the current foreign systems, but introducing the foreign systems was prohibited. It was not possible, and we have to substitute with Russian alternatives. Since we were pressed for time, we used synergy of different solutions. I would like to thank the telematic concerns, and we have their solutions on the slide. Telematics concern provided their solutions. We used our experience, and thanks to this combinatory work within press time, we managed to put this toll road into operation. Operation, that's the next stage of all the systems. Data flow allowed to make this operation transparent, clear, and simple. We created a product for technical maintenance and operation and repair, tested it on 7th and 8th section of the M11 highway. We created this digital twin with filtering with the data, and technology allows to optimize the expenses and to make the decision faster, track all the needed expenses, and overhauling what is happening on the road. That's it. Thank you very much for your attention. Technology is everything for us. We are almost in the timing. We'll have the final speaker who will tell us where we're going to take this technology, what are they looking at in terms of this selecting the promising technologies. And Trushin, Director General of the Kazan Telematica company. Please, the floor is yours. Colleagues, good afternoon. Please put on our presentation. I would like to tell you a few words about the current trends in the development of the ITS, what to expect in the nearest future. First area, automation of infrastructure of the ITS. Traffic lights controlled by AI in real-time, radars and cameras count not just the number of the cars in the lane, but also identify the type of the vehicle. Ambulance, fire trucks, cars, and forecasting passenger flows. Trend number 2, quantum computing for modeling traffic on the road. It's at the stage of the development and the first experiments, but I guess the future is all about that. What is the current situation? Conventional computers, the exact transport modeling of the megalopolis with a million number of participants requires the huge quantum computing capacity. It's a huge task with a lot of derivatives. So quantum computing will allow to compute a great number of scenarios, not for one car, but for all the vehicles on the road, in order to globally eradicate the traffic congestion and not to relocate them to some other place. In the major megalopolis, they are going for piloting and optimizing public transport systems using quantum algorithms. Trend number 3, using distributed resources, computing resources. The current stage, many systems are using hybrid cloud computing for storing the data and some partial analytics. Future technologies depend on the appearance of new generation of microprocessors and microchips. Data from the cameras and sensors will be processed not remotely by some data center, but by a device installed in the road. It reduces the delay to milliseconds, which is very important for B2X systems. Cloud is a unified and centralized hub for management, and will create the overall cloud, which will get the overall picture of the traffic situation. Trend number 4, robotization. Current stage, automated sweeping machines, robotic vacuum cleaners, pilotless vehicles. The future, technologies and trends is all about the automated reversal systems, not just a sign, but robotized barriers, lampposts that could be moved, and creating the lanes in a fully automated mode. Robots for servicing infrastructure, devices for inspecting road surface and bridges, special vehicles and equipment for dispersing chemicals that were sent by special stations. In a near-term perspective, the road will become an active element of the energy system. Solar panels and noise-protected screens. As for the prototypes, proved to be too costly and complex for implementation, but works on developing the stress-resistant panels is going on. Special generators for specific areas of high load areas at the tunnels, as braking and acceleration areas. Energy will not be produced a lot, but will be enough for powering the traffic lights and detectors along the roads. Further on, the trend number 7, predictive management. Automated systems for road management is going from reactive to proactive mode. Current situation, system knows how to define not typical situation and the future. Some analytics based on AI. The system knows that it's not just the 1st September, but it can predict some anomalies, some solar weather, some event in a stadium, the high load on the at the exit of the city at the 3 p.m. and the system will start special scenario, will start reversal traffic lights, reversive lanes, and readjust and prepare the equipment in case of some road accident. Augmented reality for the ITS staff members. AR, VR, Googles will become a standard equipment for emergency teams and road accident crews. It will show the specific locations for processing road accidents and automatically fill in the documents and register the VIN number, and they see not just the icon but the real life camera from the different cameras, which will speed up the process of making decision process. Most of these technologies have been piloted and now at the stage of active integration by the telematics concern. Thank you very much for your attention. Vaktant Ivанович, thank you very much for your speech. I would like to make a small remark. So make the robots work and people go for more creative work and have a bit rest. I think our work was very close. I don't have any session for questions, but we discussed a lot of things during the session. Speakers we have here, and I hope our session was beneficial. You learned something new, and I believe it's a unique opportunity to discuss with communicate with these people, meet them in the real face. And we'll see you next year, the same place, the same time, on the same hour. So for the next time, next year, next Digital Week. And on behalf of the organizers, I have some keepsakes, namesakes in order to memorize this event. Thank you very much to everybody. Goodbye.
Можно расходиться.